According to Emilio Aguinaldo, the proclamation of independence was important when he saw that we Filipinos were already winning battles. He wanted to show the Spaniards and the Americans that we were an independent nation. This is why the proclamation of the Philippine independence in Kawit was significant. I am April Joy Cacafranca from BALS
I
2.
am Sherman Dances from BS Nursing Level 1, reading the proclamation of the Philippines Independence Reporter 1. Every year, the country commemorates the anniversary of the Philippine independence. It's proclaimed on 12 of June 1898 in the province of Cavite, proclaimed between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. The event was Philippine national flag made by Marcela Agoncillo, Lorenza Agoncillo, and Defena Herbosa. Performance of Marcha Filipina Magdalo as the national anthem known as Lopang Hinirang, composed by Julian Felipe and played by the Francisco de Malabon Marching Band. The proclamation was prepared, written and read by Ambrosio Riences Bautista in Spanish, signed by 98 people, including United States Army Alpha from Mr. L.M. Johnson. Eventually promulgated on August 1 after many towns had been organized under Aguinaldo's government. Not recognized, however, by the United States nor Spain, U.S., but the Philippines from the Spanish and 1898 Treaty of Paris. Philippine-American War. The Philippine Revolutionary Government did not recognize the Treaty of American Sovereignty and subsequently fought and lost a conflict with the United States. Ended with Emilio Aguinaldo was captured by U.S. forces on March 23, 1901 and issued a statement acknowledging and accepting the sovereignty of the United States over Philippines. The U.S. finally granted complete independence to the Philippines on July 4, 1946 via the Treaty of Manila following World War II. President Diosdado Macapagal in 1964 signed into Law Republic Act number 4166, designating June 12 as the country Independence Day. It is a significant turning point in the history of the country. It signaled the end of 330 years of Spanish colonization. There have been numerous studies done on the events leading on the independence of the country, but very few students had a chance to read the actual document of the declaration. This is in spite of the historical importance of the document and the details that the documents revealed on the rationale and circumstances of the historical day. Interestingly, reading the details of the said document in hindsight is telling of the kind of government that was created under Aguinaldo and the following forthcoming hand of the United States of America and next few years of the newly created Republic Act. Proclamation of the Philippines Independence. It is a short 2,000-word document. It summarized the reason behind the revolution against Spain. It is also summarized the subsequent war for independence as well as the future of the new republic under the leadership of Emilio Aguinaldo. The proclamation was combined with a characterization of the condition of the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period. It specifically mentioned the abuses and inequalities existing in the colony.
The declaration says, taking into consideration that their inhabitants being already weary of bearing the ominous yoke of Spanish domination, on account of the arbitrary arrest and harsh treatment practiced by the civil guard to the extent of causing death, with the connivance and even with the express orders of their commanders, who sometimes went to the extreme of ordering the shooting of prisoners under the pretext that they were attempting to escape, in violation of the provision of the regulation of their corps, which abuses were unpunished, and on account of the unjust deportations, especially those decreed by General Blanco, of eminent personages and of high social position. At the instigation of the Archbishop and friars interested in keeping them out of the way for their own selfish and avaricious purpose, deportations which are quickly brought about by a method of procedure more execrable than that of the Inquisition and which every civilized nation rejects on account of a decision being rendered without a hearing of the persons accused. The passage demonstrates the justification behind the revolution against Spain. Specifically cited are the abuse by the civil guards and the unlawful shooting of prisoners whom they allege as attempting to escape. The passage also condemns the unequal protection of the law between the Filipino people and the eminent personages. Moreover, the line mentions the avarice and greed of the clergy like the friars and the archbishop himself. Lastly, the passage also condemns what they saw as the unjust deportation and rendering of other decision without proper hearing, expected of any civilized nation. From here, the proclamation proceeded with a brief historical overview of the Spanish occupation since Magellan's arrival in Visayas until the Philippine Revolution, with specific details about the latter especially after the Pact of Biak na Batu had collapsed. The document narrates the spread of the movement like an electric spark through different towns and provinces like Bataan, Pampanga, Batangas, Bulacan, Laguna, and Morong, and the quick decline of Spanish forces in the same provinces. The revolt also reached Visayas, thus, the independence of the country was ensured. The document also mentions Rizal's execution, calling it unjust. The execution, as written in the document, was done to please the greedy body of friars in their insatiable desire to seek revenge upon and exterminate all those who are opposed to their Machiavellian purposes, which tramples upon the penal code prescribed for this island. The document also narrates the Cavite Mutiny of January 1872 that caused the infamous execution of the martyred native priest, namely Jose Burgos, Mariano Gomez, and Jacinto Zamora, whose innocent blood was shed through the intrigues of those so-called religious orders that incited the three secular priests in the said mutiny. The Proclamation of Independence also invokes that the established republic would be led under the dictatorship of Emilio Aguinaldo. The first mention was the very beginning of the proclamation. It stated the following. In the town of Cavite Viejo, in this province of Cavite, on the 12th day of June 1898, before me, Don Ambrosio Renzares Bautista, Auditor of War and Special Commissioner appointed to proclaim and solemnize this act by the dictatorial government of these Philippine Islands, for the purposes and by virtue of the circular addressed by the eminent dictator, the same Don Emilio Aguinaldo A. Fami. The same was repeated toward the last part of proclamation. It states, "We acknowledge, approve, and confirm together with the orders that have been issued therefrom, the dictatorship established by Don Emilio Aguinaldo, whom we honor as the supreme chief of this nation, which this day commences to have a life of its own, in the belief that he is the instrument selected by God in spite of his humble origin, to effect the redemption of this unfortunate people, as foretold by Dr. Jose Rizal in the magnificent verses which he composed when he was preparing to be shot, liberating them from the yoke of Spanish domination in punishment of the impunity which their government allowed the commission of abuses by its subordinates."
And finally, it was unanimously resolved that this nation, independence from this day, must use the same flag used, therefore was defined in colors and described in the accompanying drawing with design representing in natural colors the three arms referred to. The white triangle represents the distinctive emblem of famous Katipunan society which by means of its compacts of blood urged the masses of the people to insurrection. The three stars represent the three principal islands of this archipelago, which is Luzon, Mindanao, and Panay, in which this insurrectionary movement broke out. The sun represents the gigantic strides that have been made by the son of this land on the road of progress and civilization at 8 rays symbolizing the 8 provinces of Manila, Cavite, Bulacan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Bataan, Laguna, and Batangas. which were declared in the state of war almost as soon as the first insurrectionary movement was initiated, and the color blue, red, and white commemorate those of the flag of the United States of North America and manifestation of our profound gratitude towards that great nation for the disinterested protection she is extending to us and will continue to extend to us. The white triangle represents the Katipunan, and the red and blue colors of the flag are associated with courage and peace.
There are many lessons to learn in our Independence Day, which is in June 12, 1898. And the most important thing is that we value the individual freedom of Filipinos. So studying history is always continuous process. Learning the events in our history like this, the Proclamation of Philippine Independence. So this Proclamation of Philippine Independence, it is like a reminder to us of the sacrifices and the struggles of our forefathers to attain freedom. So let this be an inspiration for all of us to continue what they fought for, and also a reminder of their selflessness in loving our country. So let us always be reminded that the freedom we enjoy today is actually a legacy we cherish, both as a privilege and a responsibility. Though we have the privilege to think, speak, and act freely, we also take the responsibility to do what is just and right, to speak with honesty, and to think with integrity.
Thank you for watching and God bless.